This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so we'll continue from this last class one. Today agenda, first we'll discuss about Ruby blocks, then followed by file handling, then functions. After finished functions, we'll switch to object-oriented design. After complete object-oriented design style of programming, we'll discuss some case studies like how to create UI applications from existing XAMPP, then how to use CGI programming, how to connect with the database operations, other some applications. If you have any query, if you have any questions, you please text me or you can interrupt, you can unmute and you can ask me. Okay, even from the previous topic also, if you have any query, please let me know. So today topic, everything will be like block oriented structure. So we won't discuss any array or hash structures. So that all the existing day one session topic we will use inside this block. Okay. So first we'll understand what is block. Block block means it's a group of code which always enclosed with the braces like this way, or it's enclosed with the do and end keyword. So the syntax always with like this two style, curly braces, or it comes with the do and end. So the group of statement within the curly braces, what are the codes are there, that all the code is called a block of statement. Within this, what are the statement is there, that all the code it's called block of state. So both are similar, and with will take with the curly braces, it comes with the inlining block, and this is multi-line block. Okay, these blocks are associated with your file operation, even loop operations. There are some even for iterating, we will use this block. Okay, so how to write the syntax wise, how to write the block? There are some few statement in the block structure. So already we discussed for loop variable in followed by some range. We can put some 10, 20, 30, 40. Like this, we can put some list of array element, and we know how to fetch the array element. We can put to do followed by print v, and it will print one by one. The same statement, there is a keyword is called each. Each is a block statement. How to use this is for iterable. It means all iterable means sequentiable data followed by each, then we can use block structure. So here you can decide whether you can following inlining style or multi-line style. Inlining means curly braces, multi-line means we can put with the do and the end. See the same line, each statement, each followed by that iterable means same 10, 20, 30, 40 dot each, then followed by do, and then iterable value variable to followed by, then put as where at the end. Compare this for above for loop, and here this is not looping, this is called a block statement. Each is the block statement. The same statement I can write in one line step, 10, 20, 30. This is all useful in that next level, next topic. So instead of do, I'll put curly braces. I'll put curly braces, and using curly braces we can use sequential data, the same where value followed by put as followed by where. Now see the output is similar. Output is similar. This is not function, this is not looping. This is called a block statement. So in Ruby, blocks is nothing but closure. In other language, the term is called a closure statement, like that. Here it's a group of statement, collection of statement. So within the curly braces, what are the statement you are writing? It's collective code block, like this for do and end. So the difference between this curly braces and do and end, if any operation, if you want to write it in single line statement, we can put this curly braces. See this, the entire looping I written in one line. Now in the real-time case, this array we can take it from file or from function return or some iterable statement of return value. So in our local code, object dot method structure will connect with this. Only one line statement we can write curly braces. If it is more than one line of operation, then we can follow with the multi-line block statement. Understand? So all the looping statement blocks, it comes with this two way. Iterable means all sequentiable of data. We can fetch one by one, and we can write it. The same we can write inside the function, that return will be some kind of generator structure. So we can iterate like the same style. Okay. So this is called block structure. Okay, so single line block, another one is multi-line block structure. Right. Understand what is block and how to use. This is completely from different, like it is not looping. We studied the same style of output in the looping statement. Okay, so the blocks are associated with the file operation, file handling. We can write complete file address here and open the data block will get line by line. Like this, we can use file operations. There are other one more block statement is called times block. I want run looping 5 times. How to write 5 times? We can put conditional 0, then followed by I'll put uh, I'll put conditional, then while condition less than 5. Then we can write message followed by conditional statement. Okay, that C value. Then condition value increment plus 1 and end block. So this is looping, the simple way, looping programming part. The simple way I can write, there is a statement n dot times. N dot times. N is nothing but occurrence. How many times you want to repeat that group of statement? Say for example, I want to write 5 times. We can put n dot 5 times. This return will be enumerate. That is called iterator. So n dot 5 times. If any block oriented structure, we can write the same style with followed by do, and we can use some variable. Then we can next line we can print put as followed by n value or something where value put followed by where. So the value. I didn't write looping statement while loop. In the same line, if you want to write it inline block 5 times, instead of do, we can use open curly braces followed by where and close it. This is block iter and write message followed by where value. If you want to write any expression, anything, we can write this statement. So understand this group of statement style, group of structure, group of statements. I didn't write any conditional style looping. So learning wise, what we studied in the day one, you can understand that is fundamental part. Then this all the techniques to reduce your line of coding. These all address based operation. That address means here we are using the term is called iterator or enumerator. So any object it will comes with this type of naming iterator view. We can't open it directly. You can connect with block. You can use even, for example, here we can use from each statement. So this all return will be sequential of data. Connect with the block. We can fetch it. So this all the block it's useful for function returns also. Function returns this address. How to open that address this way. Okay. So this is called a block. There are some other one more statement. It's called code block. Code block means if it comes from C language, what is the entry point in the C program? Entry point. Tell me what is the entry point? How to write C program? What is the entry point when you compile your program? When you compile your program, how this compiler? What are the stages in the compilation? Tell me the stages of C compilation. Hope you studied C program, right? If you compile the C code, what are the stages? Interpretation. Okay, I'll show you one sample C code. Can you open my screen? This is my sample C code p1.c. Okay, you can take this example p1.c. This is C code. I'm taking any compiler, Turbo compiler, GNU compiler, or Visual Studio, any compiler, general compiler. I'll compile the program. I'll get some object file. Then I'll run this object file. I'll run the object file, or I'll compile the program. I'll create explicitly that object code. Using that object code, I can run the program. Now, what are the stages in the compilation stage? What are the stages in the compilation? Yeah, compilation, good pre-processing. Then what are the stages in the pre-process? Pre-process, compiled, assembled, linked, and then execute. Fine. How to view this pre-process view? I don't want to redirect here, just I'll finish it, then we'll go to code block. Suppose this is a code, this is single line comment, or if you include any other libraries, like other libraries, stdlib.h, like this, some list of line. When you compile the code, gcc filename.c, here we can use -e option. See the option, this is the preprocessor before entering to the compilation stage. What preprocessor will do, see the line, that single line comment is removed. What are the header file is included, all the header file is open. This is intermediate format of the code, intermediate format. Okay, this format of code is input to our compiler. What are the header file we opened, all the header file will be linked opened. Then what are the comments used, single line comment or multi-line comments, all the comments will get removed. So we'll get, this is for intermediate format of code. This format code is input to compiler. Then compiler will compile the code. It will create one object that is not linked, that is intermediate object. For example, if we create some file name.c, we'll get one object file name is called p1.o. See the file structure, p1.c ASCII file, p1.o, this is not ASCII, it's executable link, it is only but it is not linked file, we can't run this file, this is not executable, this one. So when you compile the program, when you compiling, if you use this option, we'll get object that is not linked object. So this object code is input to your linker, then compiled, then we'll get compiled object one, that is compiled object code. Will run this compiled object code. So now the point is, when you enter to compiler, when the source code enter to the compiler, before going to compiler, all the pre-processed declarative and single line comment, multi-line comments are removed. It will look like this all intermediate format of code. This format of code to the compiler. So here, what is the entry point? The entry point is called main function. Main function. So this code will be compiled, then will enter to they'll enter to compiled executable, will enter to the operating system. That is inside the OS point of view. You can check with the layout of ASM. This is the actual code. See the next. We return only simple hello message. See the code structure. The entire code structure will be compiled. See the stage of compilation. Compiled, linked means compiled one, linked will create object. Finally, the code will enter to that hardware. Before entering to the hardware, this all it's a mnemonics code section. So if I write print hello message, it's a user, that is programmer view statement. Hardware understanding formats are signal. These all the mnemonics instruction. This is close to your hardware. These are the real virtual addresses. This address only we are using as a pointer. So we'll come to this Ruby structure. I want to write the program. If I say like Ruby a.rb, I'll write the program, Ruby program. We know the Ruby, it's interpreter line by line. There is no main function and all. So like I'll take package one followed by next package 2, package 3, like this. I will connect multiple package. So the Ruby interpretation will be line by line flow, line by line. Now I didn't write any function. If I write some group of function, and based on the function call, the Ruby code will execute. It's not like a C style of programming. There is a compiler will execute and run. There is no entry point here like main function and all. If I run this program, I'll get output based on that line by line of coding. Now here I want to start to initialize first the package is package 4. The order of execution, I want to change it. I don't want to write the program. Right now this is one line. We can easily to modify it. Assume that I written one function inside there are some 10 line or 100 line of code. Again, next function, next package 2, 10 line or 100 line of code. If it's C program, we can write main is the entry point, and based on the function call, the corresponding function can invoke. But here this is not, this is interpreter, it's not compiler style, and there is no linker and all here. So they interpret, translate to So in this case, how to change the order of sequence? Understand my point? Order of sequence. I don't want to interpret line by line. I want to change the order. Like example, I want to start some package initialization first. After initialize this package, I want to call package 2. Then after finished, I want to call package 6. Then I want to call package 2. Like this, I want to change the order. I want to change this order. Okay, so this kind of cases, this kind of case, we can use, there is a code block. What is the code block? The code block, it's called, it's not this one, the code block, it's called begin followed by curly braces. You can write initialization. Then like this, another code block end. This is footer block. Footer block. Just I'm writing the term footer. Begin and end is a keyword. Begin and end is a keyword style. So what is that? How to write it? We can go to the same program. Instead of writing order of execution, I will copy this file to another one. Then I'll compare. Order of one. I want to change the order. First, I want to start package 4. So I can use begin followed by this. Then followed by this one. After finished begin, then we can go to, like I want to start with the package 1. After finished package 1, at the end I want write end block. Now see that order, end block. Now it's not like the way what we written in the A style. A.rb file, order of execution code. A.rb. Compare with the B.rb. When you run the program, B.rb. Now compare where the begin is written, that statement will get started. After that, line of coding, line by line. After that 5, then after finished package 7, then it comes with end. So that's why I mentioned the term. This is useful for initialization. Whenever Ruby interpret your code, this begin block will get initialized first. Like how we used main function in the C program. The entry point is the the entry point is the main function in C program. Then after that, your compilation, whatever. So before going to compilation, pre-processing and all, that is for compiler behavior. This is interpreter. So in the interpreter, interpretation starts. Before going to start, this begin block will get. So practically this statement is useful for all initialization purpose. For deployment, your code deployment, and code written with a different code, different directory. I want to bind all the external code into my local code. Okay, all importing external file into local. And if adding your environment variable, suppose code I written in different directory, I want to import that path into my local path. Before going to start, I want to initialize it. So this is begin. Begin, it's uppercase followed by curly braces. End, it's a keyword, same uppercase. This is like footer block. After finished, all the interpretation is completed. At the end of the statement, this code will run. So anywhere you can see begin in Ruby program, understand that is initialization point. So Ruby code block we discussed. One is each statement way, another one is time statement. Now this is code block. This is not iterating anything. Code block, because the term is block. Block means it's, don't confuse with this. Okay, code block means this all the block statement. Can recap. For loop we studied. This is the block statement. This is code block. And while loop we studied. This is code block. Based on that looping condition based block will run. Apart from Ruby, it support with some closer kind of statement. It's called blocks. So these blocks we can write two way, curly braces or do and end keyword. Do and end. Curly braces, it's called inlining code block. One line style of code we can use. If multiple line, there are initialized logic expression, like more than one type, more than one line of code or more than one line of operation, we can use with multiple line statement. So that case we can use do end. Now see the same for loop statement I written with each statement. iterable of each. Iterable means you can use enumerator address kind of or sequential type of structure. Once if we connect with each, it will be, this is a syntax to fetching one by one sequential of operation. The same multi-line statement I written with one line styling here. Okay. And the same conditional, we used conditional style, initialization, condition, increment. The same we can use another looping, means another code blocks called times. How many times you want to run the code block? 5 times means you can put 5 times of code block, or 10 times you can put 10 times, 20 times 20 times. So it will be reducing your line and reducing our statement. It's be sequentialable, iterable. So apart from, there are some code block statement, there are two keyword. One is called begin, another one is called end. Begin statement is initialization, the entry point. Even you can write anywhere in this code structure. If writing multiple functions, I want to change the order, I want to start the function 1 or function x something. So where you want to call, just to write that function call inside this function call, not a definition. Function call you should write within that begin block. Ruby interpreter will refer this, the entry point is the begin code. Okay, so this all the statement is called the block statements in the Ruby. So understand, you have any questions, please tell me. If you're not clear, please let me know. I will recap the point and understand the usage. Understand? If you have any questions, please tell me. Now tell me what is the answer of this code, this program. I'll write another program followed by put a statement, statement 1, put a statement, statement 2, and put s followed by statement 3. Then I'll write begin block followed by put a statement, statement 4. Then again one more begin. I written more than one. Then put s followed by, now end followed by put s followed by thank you message 1. If I run the program, now tell me what will be the order of execution. In the previous code I written only one single code block. Now you can think that begin behavior. The previous one I put only one begin, one end, so it will be easy to understand. Begin is the entry point. What I written, begin is a keyword, so begin is the entry point in the code. Entry point, that Ruby will refer first to the begin statement. After finished all the remaining statement, finally it will comes with the end. Now the same code I duplicated more than one. So here just like think about begin behavior, like how this code block, what is the order of execution, order of execution style. The previous one, compare, when the begin is written means begin block will get started, package 4 will get initialized, after finished package 5 whatever, then remaining order of 1, and finally it will comes with the end. One second. Can you guess this answer? What will be result? So whenever repeated more than one begin, it will check with the first begin, same rule. Then followed by the next begin. After finished the order of interpretation. Whenever repeated more than one end, this is all the deallocating. Which is last one that will come. See the result. Which is last end that will come first. That will first deallocate, like a destructor style logic. Which is last one that will come next. Compare this line by line of coding. Understand that behavior of begin and end. So generally it will be one begin, one end. This is just for understanding a return. If anywhere begin is duplicated twice, so the begin block will get initialized. More than one begin we can write. The order, first begin will execute, then second begin, then third. Then after that, line of coding, line by line. After finished all this code block, then control will go to end. So this type of code block is useful for initialization, installing, uninstalling. This kind of logic will implement in the configuration environment. So initialized part, the entire code you can write it within the code. Inside you can write function call, object key, everything. That is some complete code section. Okay, like this is final. So duplication, it's not order, which is last used, that will come first based on that deallocating. So all the deallocation process we will write it inside end block. Okay, so any questions? Fine. Yeah, correct. First execute all this one and followed by. So we'll move to the next topic is a function. Function also the same definition, code block, like a group of statement. So this function, if it comes from compiler background, it's not like same style of syntax. This is our interpreter code. So we are not following any prototype and all. So function also the same code block statement, code block, or we can say group of statement, or we can say script inside the subscript section of code. Okay, so how to write function? So before going to the function operations, and then so the function code, function structure, there are two important points. One is called function definition. Function definition. The function definition, it's our logical part, that is our operation block. Another one more point, function call. So the function call means to invoke a definition. To invoke a definition. So this two important one. Function definition is a operation section block. If it comes from Python, the same style of Python style, we are writing definition keyword followed by function name. Function name. So parentheses are optional if you're not passing any argument. There is no indentation here. So the definition will start and followed by, I'll put multi-line comment. Definition will start function name followed by parentheses. Then after writing all the code statement, how to close that block, we can put end keyword. So recap from conditional, looping, all the statement, starting will be some statement, then if condition, then end. Even case statement, when at the finally end. Looping, do and end. Blocks, do and end. The same here, function also, def is a keyword and the end is final statement, end of this function definition. Okay, so here end is important. Okay, this is multi-line comment. Here def is a keyword and you should follow the same syntax rule. Function name should be case sensitive and it will be proper cases. Don't use any special character other than underscore. Okay, so it's a group of statement. The main purpose for writing the function is reusability. To avoid that code repetition and splitting the code block will be divided into multiple section, we can use function. Okay, and if it comes from compiler background, like compare with compiler, we used to write prototype function signature, what type of argument we will pass it. Before going to call the function, we should write a definition, and if the function does not returns, we should write void keyword and all. So here we are not following any primitive type syntax rule. So in Ruby, function will allow all type of categories argument. We can pass n number of argument, and also Ruby will support with the multiple return statement. So we'll write what is function. Say function followed by, if write some function name f1, then put as, we can say this is f1 block. This is code block. Function inside I'm writing one variable. You can say f name. I'll put p1.log. By default, this variable will be local variable. Remember, variable name starts with which case? Lowercase character. variable name starts with lowercase, so default will be local variable. So the accessibility also, file name we can access within the class, within the function section. We can't access outside. I'll close the definition. This is function. If write f1 followed by open and close parenthesis, function call. So default return will be nil statement, that is null operation or none operation, like that. If you type f name, it will throw error. So the declared one, here we are not using any prefix with this notation, just a written like normal way, so the normal style. So default here in Ruby, the variable name starts with lowercase characters are called local variable. So now this is separate code section, separate stack, different name stack. So this case, how to write means how to create the global data. Now you can think about the global operation, global variable. So the last class we discussed only local variable for all the program. Okay, so how to call or how to write a global variable function. Inside I'll write another function. Inside I'll put variable $f name temp.log. You can put this will be available within the block sector. Like example, from f2 block inside, if we call this block $f name. So prefix dollar means by default will be global variable. After complete function to call, open and close. Now you can call $f name, we can able to access. Compare with f1 statement, f2, the line 1 and line 2. If you not understand, please tell me. So the prefix I used variable dollar symbol. Prefix I used dollar symbol. Okay, so understand. The dollar symbol is called global variable. In the day one, we didn't discuss function. So we put dollar symbol followed by variable. If you put dollar symbol followed by variable, and the assignment you can write some variable, and if you put dollar where it will print. It will print. So this is by default will be the name main section code, right? So where we will use this global notation generally inside the function. Inside the function. Now tell me this function name is called calci. Parentheses are optional. Okay, even function call also I'll put end. So this function call also f2 we can write like this. You can write simply f2. Both are same. So in Ruby parentheses are optional, not like Python. Python parenthesis it's a mandatory. Should write when using function call and all. Here parenthesis symbol, the round symbol, it's optional. For inbuilt function and user defined function the same. If you're passing any argument, then it is mandatory to write. Okay, so now I'll return one function name is called calci. Variable 1, I'm taking variable 2 is simple arithmetic operation. Now dollar total followed by v1 plus v2 and close it. After function call calci, after function call, if you print dollar total, what will be the output? What will be the output? 30. And listen, one more point here in function in Ruby. I didn't use the return value. Can you see this line? This is important difference Python and Ruby. See this, I didn't use any return, but I'm getting this whenever function is called, I'm getting the output. So what is that meaning? In Ruby, if you not used any return keyword, in Ruby, if you not use any return keyword inside the function, what is the last expression? The last expression value will get returned by default. By default, it return the last expression return value. Okay, if you used return, we'll get return value. I'll modify the same code. Calci v1 value 10, v2 value 20, dollar total value v1 plus v2. I'll put explicitly return keyword, some value, some string name is called ABC, and I close it. Now compare this above line return. I'll highlight this line. This above line return value when my function is called Okay, here C is missing, just come to this line. Function is called automatically return this value. Okay, but we can use global variable, we'll get that's one, the function call. Yeah, global variable is dollar total. But the second one, even I expression I return, but return value I used explicitly return keyword. Hope you know what is return. If you studied in other programming, return keyword, the same return statement we are using in Ruby. Return value, it support with all types of return. What are the data types in day one? We discussed all the types. We can use it inside return array, return hash structure, return with our floating integer, all combination. Okay, now I put explicit return. After finished explicit return, I'm calling the function calc. I'm calling the function calc. See the result. The result is return value. Compare the above line, because if I not used return, I'll get this expression. So the dollar is a global variable. We can access global variable. That is variable behavior. Now consider the return behavior. So in Ruby program, by default, what is the last return value? That value will come. What is the last expression value? If you're not used to return, what is the last expression? Okay, now compare the function inside. I used three variable. The three variable, this two variable, which category it comes? Local variable. We can't access v1 v2 outside a function, and I put prefix dollar symbol, so this variable we can access it inside and outside anywhere in the program. By default, the dollar notation is to indicate that it's a global notation. This rule is section from Perl script. If it comes from Perl scripting background, we can understand the dollar behavior. That's why in Perl, if your recap, if it comes from Perl, if you refer, by default they used to write total value something, then it will become to be local variable. Local, the term they called a lexical variable. So if you print directly total means this variable, it's called a global variable. I'm talking with respect to Perl script. Global. This rule is extended in Ruby. F1, F2, we didn't, no, F1, F2, we are getting the output here. Can you see that above one? F1 a return function, sorry, this line. F1 return function, put as message it's printing, and a variable I declared by default will be local variable I'm printing. This message I'm getting whenever I'm calling function. Okay, so this is function one. F1 I'm calling means I'm getting this. This line is F1 statement. Okay, like this F2 also. I return here, I'm printing this. So function call, open and close it. Okay, fine. Okay, so understand the difference between global and local. Then understand the difference. Return, without using return, what will be the default return type? Any expression return, that expression value, it will be the default return. If you not used any expression, if you not used any return, default return will be nil. That nil means null statement. So this step is new to like compare with other language. This is unique concept in Ruby. Generally, if you use to return, that will be final, and also if you not used to return, it will come default type will be none type in Python style code. Okay, so if lost expression value will be return code. Now tell me what will be the output of this code, this program. Here function f1 block, and I'll followed by put as this is f1 block, this is f1 block, and followed by some like a value of string, and the string I put concatenate operation followed by this, and this is main section of code, main section code followed by function call. Okay, this is the order. Now I'll write begin followed by another function call and close it, and put s followed by end of the script. Okay, now I'll write another function f2 followed by f2 block. I'll put here a return value 1. I'll initialize. I'll get this return value. I'll put here a return value 2. Now tell me the output of RV value, RV1, RV2. RV2 value followed by function 2, RV2 value. Like this, the next call, put as followed by RV1 value. So first look at the code closely, then you can tell me the output and order. So I combined all the previous code block and function and the code. Once again, I'll restore this VM, and then it will be visible to see this chat box. I can't see the chat messages. Okay. Now tell me, I written two function. I'm called two function. One function I called from the block section entry point. Another function I call it from outside. Then and both the function written I initialize it, but I didn't use any written inside the function. So I didn't use any variable f1, f2 inside. I didn't use any global variable. Can you check with the previous line of code and tell me what will be the output of this? Yeah, begin will execute first. So the begin will execute first means what will be the return type RV2 value. I didn't use any expression. I didn't put a return value also. F2 block. Okay. See the line code. See this one. Okay. F2. I should write. In this version, it's not taking. Actually, we should write a definition and call everything inside the code block. This is my lower version Ruby. If you write this, we can write it inside this line. If you can, but lower version style, if you can check with higher version. Now see the code. The first one, begin section block. Begin section. What is the begin section? 1 minute. I'll repeat. Begin section. Begin section first one F2 block will run. Now interpreter model, it's correct. The first code will start with the begin block. If I not used to begin, if I not used to begin statement, then the first one call will be the first call, F1 call, then followed by F2 call. Got it? So I put begin. Already we tested. There are multiple packages, and based on the order, code will run. This is interpreter, line by line of interpreting. But see that one below one. If I put line by line, but here begin is written means the control will goes to begin. This will get initialized first. Whenever I'm typing Ruby space file name dot, the Ruby will map to first the begin section. Even if it is third line or fourth line, it is not taking as the order. It will take that begin is the initialized one. So this initialization inside the return function definition call everything inside that. Begin inside. So you can say this line. Definition call everything a written inside the function definition everything. Okay, so that's why the begin is started first. Begin inside what is the code? The function call. Function is calling. It will printing display F2 block. After that, there is no return keyword and there is no expression. So the 2 point you have to observe. Not only return, there is no expression also. If there is no expression means default return will be nil. Nil means it's here none statement like that. Nil is a keyword. Nil means equivalent to null or none with respect to other language. Ruby we are using nil. Then after that begin block is completed. Then control will comes with order. What is the next call? F1 call. F1 call will execute a display, sorry, the first call main function. After finished, next call function call F1 block it's running. Then here I didn't use any returns. Now see that another point, I didn't use any return, but I put expression. So the default, if you not put return, the code will interpret this line. What is the last exit or last expression statement? That expression returns, the expression returns will be the default return. Here string concatenate operation. After that, finally it comes with the same order of code. So the 2 points you have to observe. One is return, another one is if you not used to return, what is the last expression? So that will be the default return. If you not used both the statement, then return will be none. That's why the RV2 return will be empty. If you're not clear, please tell me. I'll repeat. If you understand, or you understand this example, understand the difference, the default returns behavior. This is the unique features in the Ruby compared with other programming. Last expression of return data we can use. Got it? Okay. So one more features in Ruby. One more features. Suppose if you're writing some expression, like for example, function inside yeah, function. Please mute your voice. Okay, thank you. So function inside, if you used any return value followed by return value, and if you can call whenever function it's get fx is called, this returns value 10. Okay, if function followed by inside, if I put any expression value, result value something 10 comma 20, any expression, and the end, when I call function, this return will be arithmetic, whatever the expression result. And function followed by if written both, that is result followed by 10 plus 20, along with I used return keyword something, for example 100, then end, whenever function is called, this return value will be 100, not 30. In function followed by a, and if you used just simple statement, I didn't use any message, I didn't use any return, I didn't use any expression. If I call function call a and return value, if you put return value function call a, and I'll get output rv value will be empty. The empty is called nil. So follow this return value function return. Here function return means like this function is called, that return value or return value 1, or function return value. We can put initialized or you can initialize directly. We can print directly. Can you see this RV value, return value, return value? Hmm? So understand. So the same rule we will use in object oriented as a method topic. Okay, this what we are learning, the same all these rules will extend in object oriented topic. Here we are using the term is called function. In object oriented we are using the term is called method call. But understand the return, fx return will be 10 because the return keyword is there. Fy result will be expression code. There is no return, so the expression will return the expression value. If you combined, what is the last one? This value. If you not used this both, then default null value. That's all. And one more feature is in Ruby function. If you want to pass some argument and all, we can pass it like normal style. Like that is not. I don't take much time here. Argument 1, argument 2, and if you want to pass n number of argument, if you want to take default argument, or if you want to pass n number of argument. If it comes from Python, all the categories are similar style. All the style will be the same. Function call argument. Look at that signature. I put function followed by some multiple argument style. Okay, multiple argument. What are the arguments? Say, what are the arguments? The single, that one, there are these all the argument, record argument, mandatory argument. This is default. If you're not passing anything, it will take list of all. Here it is called array type. So we can pass n number of argument, any type of argument. This is function called category. We can call function and we can invoke this function definition, and then we can call it, we can pass some parameters based on the call. Now here I put, first I will show you what are the types of data, A1 and A2 and A3 and A4, and I'll close it. If I call function first argument, second argument, if I not passed the remaining argument and see that value, or if you're passing third argument, fourth argument, fifth argument and see this value, actually this is the array type. Here it is not displaying as array format. I will show you with the class type. If anything, if a prefix followed by star, and we can put as a1 dot class, a1 dot class. Just first I'll see this f1. If I passed empty argument, see this line, or if you're passing some sequential of data 10, 20, or some floating, or you can put string, or you can put any other structure, even from sequential of data 1, data 2, any type of structure. Now see the structure, here I put dot class only. I didn't write print a1. If you put print a1, this is array of 0th index, first index, second index, third index, then last index. The star notation, it's indicate like variable length. We can pass n number of argument. That is variable length view. Okay, so we can follow with all the category. This is mandatory. 2 argument, it's important. If the 2 argument is omitted, we'll get argument error. If you not passed third argument, in see the definition inside we put assignment operator. So it is called as a default argument. If you're not passed, it will take default. If you're not passed anything, it will become to be empty array. Empty means null. So here it's taking sequential from array element, fetching one by one. That's why I put the class method. It will show you what type of data. So this is function called category, function called argument. Inside we can use formal parameter, that all similar. So the data variable name prefix, it starts with the dollar symbol, that is global variable. We can access inside, outside, anywhere. Variable, if it starts with lowercase, that is local variable. Function inside means it's local to the function. In one more features in Ruby, compare with other programming, Ruby function block can invoke your block statement. Can invoke the block statement. Okay, so recap what we studied. Block between do and end, it's called block, and curly braces also. This is block statement structure. Okay, code block style. So if I write function is called a display function block. I'll write this is method call or method definition. Okay, I want to call block statement. You can use keyword yield, just calling block, or we can say calling block statement. We are not passing any argument. Whenever that yield, I'll put sleep some second delay, just for delay purpose. Delay 2 seconds. After 2 second delayed, after 2 seconds delay, again I'm calling block yield. Yield, it's a keyword. So if it comes from Python, yield we used to function inside, that is generator. The same here, yield keyword, it's called calling your block style. Block means it's a collection of statement, enumerator statement. Again calling block statement. Then after finished code block, control will comes with end thank you message. end block. So displays a function. See this new keyword, return exit behavior. After once if you write return statement, the next line what we are writing, Ruby it won't interpret. Exit behavior, return keyword. That yield, it's not exit, continue behavior. It will call that another subroutine or code block, will execute. After finish control back to here, will be continue the next line of code, next statement. So how to call it? If you write only simple function, it will throw error. Along with the function call, we can use parenthesis optional. Okay, along with the function call, we can write block statement. For example, I'll write one system function. There is uptime command. Uptime is a Linux command. I'm working Linux machine, so it will show you the code. What is at my uptime load balance? See this statement, function, or you can write function call, parenthesis including, otherwise it will. Okay, now see this, along with the function definition, sorry, function call, I'm using the code block. I'm using code block. So what is that meaning? Whenever the call is called, I mean the function Ruby interpret this line, control will goes to display method. So the display method will execute, this line will interpret. Then whenever Ruby interpret yield, Ruby interpret yield statement, control will jump to this section, system. So this uptime command will execute. After execute this command, then sleep 2-second delay. After 2-second delay, control will goes to here only, where the function. So whenever you write yield, then it will map corresponding function inside. You can use curly braces or do or end. Here I put inlining style. Now see the code structure. Uptime is a Linux command. I'll show you first uptime. This is Linux command. Windows machine it won't work. Windows command you can type. This is uptime command. Okay. This command I'm running from function inside with the help of system. Now see the call and see the execution. After 2-second delay, again it's calling. Now see the code structure. Simple function call, argument and all, we can write it. So using this block style, we can avoid nested call. We can avoid nested call. So what is the advantage if you're avoiding the nested call? Tell me, what will be the advantage when you avoid the nested call? We're reducing function stack. Okay, so instead of calling function inside another call, we can reduce all the nested. Stack frame will be keep on increasing, that will affect your performance. So now we are replacing inlining style of operation. We are not raising the stack. We are not raising the stack structure. So these all these important points and the function definition section. Function definition. So can you see this line code? Yield, it's a new keyword. What is difference between yield and return? Yield, it will be suspend state, it will be continuous state. Whenever yield is defined, it will check your function block. Suppose if I'm writing only display, I didn't use the function code block. Whenever yield will start, it will throw the error message. It says there is no block is given. See the line exception message. No block is given. No, there is no block is given in the function call. Yes, I written only simple function call. So if yield keyword is there, yield will map your code block. We know what is block. Understand? What is code block statement? What is code block? Code block operation. Okay. So this all this important topic in the function part, function section. If you have any questions, please tell me. Sorry, we discussed what is function, how to pass argument, then variable scope, default, what are the variable, means with prefix with lowercase character, default will be local variable. If any variable, if you write dollar symbol, that is global variable. Global variable. Global variables are accessible inside the function, outside the function. Okay, if variable is local variable, how to pass it to the parent section code, we can use return keyword. Or apart from this, if you use any expression and all, then Ruby will receive the expression will be the last one. Whenever the function will call the expression. If not used return, not used yield. If not used return, if not used any expression, default return will be nil. Okay, now finally, Ruby statement. Ruby function can invoke function with the block structure, function with the block style. Now the same block style code I'll write without using block. Say for example, function one, inside I'm writing the statement, put as, I'll write message, or I'll write system, inside I'll put message like uptime end, and the definition display, and I'm calling put as, this is display block, display block. Then I'm calling function. See this line, this is called a nested call. After finished, control back. Okay, I'll put some seconds delayed sleep followed by some 2 seconds delayed, number of seconds. After 2 seconds delayed, again I'm calling function, again nested call. So stack will be popped, push and pop operation, again push operation. After finish, again pop it, again I'm calling nested call. Okay, so instead of calling again and again, okay, exit from display. Instead of calling again and again, I can use block structure. After 2 seconds, it will call. So this function is calling 3 times. Visualize the stack frame. How the stack frame will be: bottom of stack and top new stack. Again pop, again new stack, again pop. So the space will keep on raised, stack space. So to avoid, you can write the above style. You can write block, the same repetition block in single code block. From function inside, you can call yield. This line will interpret. Okay. So this is for code structure in the function with the block style code. So any questions, please tell me, because you're not answering any. So to understand what is functions, block structure, or if you're not clear, tell me, I will repeat that point. So next topic we'll discuss about file operations. Before going to file operations, recap file types. So file types means in our user point of view, user view, the file type, if you say file name.java, what we will use the term? It's a Java file. And file name.c, it's a C file. File name.text, it's a text file. File name.rb, Ruby file. File name.py, Python file. Using extension, we can define file type. Okay, but here in kernel view, file type means it is not like this way. There are different types of files. One is called ASCII file or regular file. Regular file. This file two category. One is ASCII, that is called text file. So what is text file? What are the file content user can able to read and understand? All this format. Even if you don't know Java program, if you open the Java file, we can able to read, and understand it. So this type of file is called ASCII file. So I'll repeat. What are the file content user can able to read and understand? What are the file content user can able to read and understand? That file is called ASCII file. So here we will use file handling this file. Another category, what are the file content user cannot able to read and understand? User not able to understanding. User understanding. User to understand. This is ASCII. Okay. What are the file content user can't able to understand? This is ELF, or we can use the term object file. So not able to, if we say binary file, that is not understandable format. Only processor can understand. Okay, so this both the file, it comes with regular file, that is category file types. Then addition to directory type files, folder. Then link file, shortcut files, link files. Then a device file, character type device or block type device. There are two types, character and a block type. All the peripheral devices, it comes with the character like a keyboard, printer, terminal. The block operation will be character by character. Block is storage device. These are all the general file types. So file type means it's not extension based, that is user knowledge. OS knowledge is this all the OS understanding view. Like this for named pipe. Named pipe is useful in IPC mechanism for connecting one process to another. Then finally socket file. Socket, it's API to interface between client server. So these are the standard file types for operating system level. You can implement file handling with any language, not only for in Ruby. If you can go to Python, C, C++, Java, any language, what are the file operations we are doing, that all it comes with the regular file ASCII code, because this code only we can able to read, we can able to understand, because we are user, we know only the ASCII code, we can't understand the signals and all. That is all its hardware part. Or hardware interpreted, hardware understanding format code also we can't understand, that all object code. Even file handling, we can perform object code, but that is not visible in the screen, that is not readable. So understand the file types. So here we can use file operation two way. One is class way, another one is normal block style. First we'll look at block style, then we'll go to class way. So first, whenever using file operation, basic task, open existing file will get acknowledgement, then we can perform read or read operation. After finished, you can close your file. This is simple structure. Okay, so now again you can back to your architecture view. Once again I will show you my screen. You can see this is my paint diagram. Whenever use file handling, for not only for Ruby program, any language, any programming language, whenever use file handling, so you can divide your system structure will be three layer. The layer one is called user layer. Okay, so we can say it's a user part, user level. The layer 2, it comes with operating system core part, kernel. The bottom layer, it's called hardware, right? So my storage, like the file structure will be comes with the storage part. In my hard disk, inside the storage, hard disk will be divided with the multiple sector. Like this, it is internal. So this is storage part. As a user, we won't communicate to, we can't means we won't talk to hardware. We won't talk to the disk. Ruby also, it won't connect with the hardware directly. Okay, so this is our storage device and all the devices inside this. From the user point of view, how to talk to disk, we need operating system help. So if I take example Ruby program, and inside I'm using the file operation. What is the syntax file operation? File is the module inside, that is class structure. Here inside I'll use to open function. Open inside, I want read some file, something ip.txt file. Default mode will be read mode. Okay, that is by optional. I can see the code structure. Open is a function. Using open function, I can read this file. Using Ruby, I'll write file name dot open and argument ip.txt. Default mode read mode. Okay, default mode read mode. So this is called request call. As a user view, we want to view that internal. What are the operation internally it's going on. Whenever any you can recap your other previous programming. If you comes from any language background, you can recap your file handling. So there are different way we can import your file and open the file. So whatever the file open operation you're doing with the language, that all is the request call to the operating system. That call is goes to as a system call. This open is converted to the system call, that is request call. In kernel inside there are multiple operation. System call, it's convert to input to file system will map to driver will interface to controller will talk to hardware. Like this internally it will be connect with multiple layer. So finally, the data file system will map your storage where this ip.txt file is there. These all the data are called raw data. Hardware understanding signals will fetch the data, will keep the data and create an internal address space in the file system and place all the data inside this, where in kernel space. So whatever the data inside this, all the data are placing here from data 1 to till data end, and you'll keep some address. This address, it's a virtual address, and then this will send this address to Ruby. This will send this address. So this is request call, the first step that will connect in requesting to operating system that needs service. So connect to this service will convert to system call, kernel entry point. That system call map to the file system. File system, it's a structure, the program way. The structure will connect to the driver, which driver will talk to the disk. So then driver will connect to the control. These all the internal point. We won't write any device driver program in Ruby. So all the code will be OS responsibility. Then finally fetch the data, will keep the data into kernel space. And this will the acknowledgement of this address space. So this address return. In some programming language, this address we are using the term is called file pointer or file object or reference or file handler. Like this, we'll use a different term. So basically, it's a virtual address. It's a portion of your kernel. So using that file pointer or object, using that, we can use inbuilt method. Like I'll put some variable file pointer or object dot. We can use read function. We can put read lines functions, and we can put getS function. GetS we studied already, reading interface to keyboard. Okay. See this. See the code. What is FOBJ? FOBJ is our file pointer. This is called FOBJ. Programming wise, it's a 2 line of code. But see that internal operation style. What are the backend operation in file operations? Understand? So whenever using file handling means extending from program to script. Sorry, from program or script to storage device. Extend to storage, it's called the file operation. Extend to storage. Okay, so recap our last class, we discussed the program. It's all basic IO operation. Basic IO operations. What is basic IO operation? Will interface from keyboard to script, then script to monitor. This is basic input output operation. How to read the data from keyboard? What is the function? How to read the data from keyboard? What is the function? What's the function? Correct, getS. How to interface? We know print or put test. What is the default type? What is the default type? Using getS? Correct. It's a string type of data. Right, same thing. Now we are extended to from program to storage part. So see the file name, the file structure means program to storage. Storage means any or physical disk storage. Program to storage. Okay, so from script to storage view. So the extent from script to storage communication is called a file. So before going to recap the day one what I mentioned, first we should understand theoretical definition, syntax, then example, then exercise. This is the way to learning program. So before going to file handling, understand that view, architect view. So your Ruby will talk to your disk. Ruby will talk to the same. If you Python will talk to disk, and like this for compiler will talk to disk. But compiler or Ruby, it won't talk to hard disk directly. It will connect via operating system. Operating system independent. Which operating system using, you can follow the same operating system. Okay, so now this step is extending from script to storage is called the file operation. We can write a different category, reading the data from file to script, or we can read data, we can create file and write a data to file, or read and write from one file to read and write from one file to another file without interacting with the keyboard and the monitor. So for this, we can write a different way to use block style. We can use simply in the function style. So outside the file option, the first point, read from file, we can use file is a class. We can put dot class, it will show you it's a class. So in the file class, inside there is a method open. This is block style. Which file I want to read? So I want to read one configuration file. I'm using Linux machine, I'm using one configuration file. Or if you want to read any CSV file, you can put CSV. If you want to read any text file or Java file, C file, any file, ASCII file, default mode read mode. Otherwise, you can put R. R is called read, W for write, A for append. These are the file mode. If you want to read any binary file, or B, read binary mode. Create binary WB like this. Okay, so before going to writing, understand the default mode will be read mode. If you not used any mode, then will be omitted as default will be read mode. This return will be like file object view. Now recap our paint topic. The paint. So open followed by this request call. Once if we enter, we'll get acknowledgement this FOBJ. We'll get acknowledgement that address and all it's encoded. But understand what are the internal operation before coming this step, before getting this output, what are the internal operation it's done. Internal operation is what are written in the paint. It will connect with operating system. Operating system will map your hardware, fetch the data, place in the address. So that address will be encoded. Here we are using any name like object, anything. Okay, object or anything, we can put any name. So from this, how to open the data, how to open, we can follow with the different function. If we can say this example, the complete output data, if file dot open, I'll take some sample file. This is lengthy. I'll take some file e1 dot or r1 dot text. Okay, I'll put some file r1 dot text. Now this is a file r1 dot text file. I want to read this file. This is Linux command line one. How to read from file Ruby file open followed by r1 dot text file. Default mode read mode. Return will be address. That address I'll initialize it to one variable. We can use like file object. Using file object dot, I can put read function. See the output here. The entire file content I'm reading in the single string format. Okay, once the read operation is done, that buffer will be empty. What is the buffer? Compare this paint diagram. What is the buffer? This buffer space. This entire buffer, the complete data will fetch it in single step. After that, buffer will be address is there, the buffer will be empty. So we are not talking to hard disk directly. Whenever you put open request to call, we'll connect with this all the stage, will fetch the data, place it into virtual space. So from this space, this address, this is called a file pointer or object or reference or handler, whatever. So using this object, I'm invoking all the data. If we put get for a read function, it'll read everything as a single string. See the data structure type with the quotes. Even for 1 line or 1000 line, everything will be single string. We can initialize to local variable, we can print or we can display. After finished, if you try to read, then it will become to be empty string because the buffer will be empty. Buffer means the address space. Okay. So if you use the same request call, fobj dot read lines, this return will be array. Each line will become to be one index. So we know the data structure, how to use string, how to use array, Okay, so here read lines return. So these are the Ruby function. And the return type will be Ruby understanding type. What is Ruby understanding? Structure. Ruby understanding type list. So understand this flow. We are reading the data from storage to script. From script, we know how to display to monitor. View. Okay. So display to monitor, we can use put as or print. You're reading data from storage to script. Same for Windows machine, Windows file path, Linux machine, Linux file path. Same function, same structure. The file should exist, and we should have the read permission. If we don't have the read permission, we can't read the file. Our file not existing, then we'll get error message. So reading the data from file, it is simple way, this way. Now you can think about in performance wise. Performance means like the file size is large volume of file. You can take real-time case. So these all our user text file, maybe some MB or KB of data, some large volume of size. Some like you can take example, but this is real-time case I'm telling. There are some 2 GB or 5 GB data. It's there, full all text dump data. I want to using Ruby, like can understand the case sets, use cases. The file size is, it will be above like 5 GB of data. 5 GB, it's complete my file size, data size. My working system RAM size is 2 GB of RAM. 2 GB RAM. Now, just to we can take practically, this is all the real-time case. This is for learning wise, it is fine. How to read, how to perform file handling, this is all the flow, it will work and running. So you can take in the real-time scenario, the data size will be large volume data, collective large volume data. So your working interpreter or working system, it will be 2 GB of RAM. Now, just visualize if you run this read function or read lines function, what will happen your system? It will become to be hanged because there is no sufficient of memory. This all the space will be in that virtual space location. There is no memory location. There is no sufficient. The system will become to be hanged. So how to read the optimistic way? So I'll repeat, read lines is all the standard function to reading the data from file storage. If storage size of volume size is large size, compare with my execution of the code or execution of my system primary memory. This case, even we can't type, the system will become to be hanged until you detach this storage one. So this kind of case, okay, we can use block style and we can follow with the get style. How to follow this one? The same file dot followed by open. These are the standard function. We can use some same file or the previous file name I written r1.txt. r1.txt by default mode read mode. Here I can start with the block. Recap the first topic today agenda. The first topic we started blocks. How to use block for all iterator sequential file followed by, you can use some any object name followed by do. Here you can use looping while and each line of statement like where dot get s. This is not reading from keyboard, reading from open file operation. Each line statement return to the local variable, then put s and print the line. Each line end slash n will be there. To remove the slash n, you can use strip function or else you can use chomp function and close that block and close the statement. Now compare the file operation. So what we studied earlier, it was a standard style of function operation, standard style. But the optimistic way, if the size of storage size, the r1.txt size is some 2 GB of data, 5 GB of data. This all it will happen in the real-time cases. If that application, there are multiple application event is running in that user end, all the event register will be keeping writing into the common log data. The common log file size is large. It is not single application event log. There are multiple application event log appending into the same file, so size will get increased, storage size will get increased. In that case, how to read the data in optimistic way? We can put same read lines function, that will work. But if primary memory, you are running primary memory is not sufficient memory, then the system will become to be hanged. So this is getters, it's a standard function to interface to keyboard. Now this getters is not interfacing from keyboard, now it's interfacing your handler. This is your virtual address where the data is get placing, and this will reading line by line. It's not dumping in single step, line by line. That's why initialize to a local variable. line variable. Each line content will be initialized to this variable. That line output I'm displaying to monitor, reading data from file and file to script, from script to display to monitor. So the category. Reading the data from file means which category it comes? Reading the data from file to script, from script to display to monitor. We are not interfacing to keyboard. So this is optimistic way to perform file handling in Ruby. Now the r1.text, if you take even 10 GB of data, we can read all the 10 GB content without hacking that machine and without interrupting that other process. So this is the way. Understand why I written with the strip. Each line end will be, recap that first day session. Each line end will be /n. So there is a function is called strip we can use, or we can use charm function. Both are same behavior to remove the /n character. Each line end /n is there. /n is called record separator. Record separator style. So understand how to use file operation style. Understand the difference between the read and read lines, read and read line style. Understand? If you have any question, please tell me. So whatever the paint diagram I written, this paint diagram operation is just for understanding purpose. Okay. So the file handling in Ruby, this is line 1. After that, whatever the output you received, you can initialize to local variable. Using that variable, you can use all the Ruby function. Understand the each function return type. Read, it will read completely everything. In single step will read everything. Read lines, it will read everything in the single step. But get this is not reading everything in single step. This will read, keep on reading line by line, line by line. So it look like multiple line of coding, but this is more optimization way. So what is meaning optimization? The size wise, storage view, size wise. Storage size is large volume compared with my running code. Then we can put this way. So while loop we studied earlier, it was conditional. Now the while loop, it is not conditional. It associates with the file handling. Once the file reach to the end of the record or end of the line, automatically the loop will get disconnected. That means the loop will get stopped. Then handler will get closed. So understand the file operation. So if you compare with, so you can recap your previous programming file handling and what are the steps you used, the same flow, the data flow, user space to kernel space, and all this flow will be the same. All the flow will be the same, but here the execution like here we are using with object dot followed by method way. So Ruby, it won't talk to her disk. Ruby, it won't talk to her hard disk. Ruby will connect to request to operating system. Operating system will perform this, will connect with the operating system means core part of operating system kernel. So kernel will connect with, kernel means file system, driver, controller, these all these units that will connect to the systems, will create it. Okay. So next we'll move to how to create a new file. Now this is file read category. I want to read the data from file. Second one, how to create a new file. Okay. So creating new file means from script to writing to file. This is the syntax to follow. File dot open input file read purpose, or is optional. But write operation, there are operation is called create new file. So whenever using write operation, listen this important point. If file already existing means the content will overwrite. The file content will overwrite. If file is new file, it is not existing, the file is not existing, it will create new file. If the file already existing means it will overwrite. So it is dangerous step. So before going to writing, you can take some sample test file. If you use any configuration file, or if you use any other important event file, if you put a W, the file already existing means all the existing contents are gone. because it's all interacting with our storage. So all the existing content will be gone. So be aware before going to writing any new file. So try to write your own sample file something. Don't use existing file. If you put any existing file, all the content will be erased, overwriting. Then we have to go to recovery. Like this, there are multiple steps. Okay, so remember this line. W stands for writing. If you put a append, that is always safer side. File not exist also, it will create writing. File already existing means it won't overwrite existing data, will be keep on adding, appending if you put a. So finally this all will be create process on the kernel space. So how to write the data to file? Write the data. Okay, so first before that we can put some syntax like this is string s variable. The variable, this is sample test code, and I'll put slash n character. If you put s followed by s means we know the output will be displayed to screen. Output will display to writing to display to monitor. Now I'll create file open followed by r1.txt file comma w comma w. So if I write this will get it will create new file r1.txt file. If file already contains r1.txt, that is gone, it's erased, overwriting. So now this result file I initialize to some handler user defined object using object dot, see the line, using that object dot put test message. I'm writing my string data using object dot writing some string data. So object dot write, I'm not what we studied here, put a standard print display to monitor. Yeah, file name is case sensitive, correct. File name is case sensitive, and if you not defined any file path, it will writing to the local path. If write under root where somewhere, then it will goes to the corresponding path. Okay, so this putters we studied, putters of argument display to monitor. Prefix, if you put wh dot means this will be writing to file. Object dot followed by writing to file. When you press enter, then we can close the file. Okay, the close this writing to storage. Now I'll read the data from file handling only. I'm reading. I didn't go to terminal. I open here r1.txt file. I want to read the data. Read output will be acknowledgement. Then I'll put read function. See the line code. I put in one line. If you not clear this line, read this output, initialize to some variable. Then object dot get test you can use, or else you can put a read function. You can use any function. So this two step, what is obj? The obj is called file handling. See that assignment operator, file operation. So that line I written here, obj file operation dot read. Read returns will be string. Right now the file it contains one line string. So see the difference between put test message here. General put test console output. This is a standard out, std out. This is writing, specifically we written this object dot write. This argument should writing into the respective storage. If not used to close till that this operation will be under buffer space. Once if you put close, it will be extend to the storage device. Extend to storage part. Okay, so reading the data from file, it is simple. Object dot read or object dot read lines, or you can put get s. Recap, what situation will use this type of block style? Block style read lines, or you can put read lines data if the data size is large volume data. My working system is lower machine level configuration level, so the system will become to be hanged. So this case, this is optimistic way using object dot. What is that? Where is called our object. That object means in our case this like this, like obj dot get test means will read the data from string initialized. Obj dot get test read the data from string. See the line output. So this will be reading line by line, but this will read everything will be one single line. Okay, so follow this style. This will be more optimistic style. If it is large volume data also, your process, it won't get hanged, it won't get interrupted. It's all reading line by line of flow, line by line flow style. Okay, so the same way we can create file also. I'll repeat once again. If you want to write the data to file, first you can write operation, create handler, open file dot open, file dot open, use some result dot log file, put w, write operation is done. Now I'll take input from keyboard. So I'll put some line content. I'll use some file data or input from keyboard, get test function. Remember get test function, get test interface to keyboard, and do this is like infinite loop. It's interface to keyboard, from keyboard to Ruby, keyboard to script. So all this keyboard input initializes to line output, line. Now wh dot put test message, wh dot put test, and put argument, put test argument my line content. After finish, close the loop. Now see the cursor will be waiting input from keyboard. Just look at while loop inside operation. Recap the day one, getters function, how to use it. Getters open and close parenthesis optional here, interface to keyboard. If I'm writing data one, then press enter. See this, it is not displaying to monitor. The putters is writing to file. What are the data I'm reading from keyboard? Writing to file. What is file name? Result.log. So how many times it will be keep on reading? There is no limit because it's like infinite. Once the keyboard is detached from your operating system, then we get stopped. So practically how to do it? Press Control D. Control D, it is end of, Control D means end of the file or end of the record. So the block will get disconnect. Keyboard block will get disconnect. Then process will reach, the loop will get suspended, stopped. Then object will get closed. So you can write object dot followed by wh dot close. Close means that will extend to storage. Now what are the content I return that is available? I'll open parallelly with other terminal and see the recently created file on the Linux, result.log. Result.log file is there. What are the input I entered in the file? The same content. Now see the category. The previous file handling topic we discussed reading data from file to script, script to display to monitor. Now this is writing data to file. From where we are writing? From script to writing to file. So how to take input from keyboard using getters function. So from keyboard to script, script to writing to storage, not display to monitor. This is the interpreter, that's why we can view, not display to monitor output. So whenever you use file operation, we should follow the same. We can read file from even existing file also. Existing file content also we can read. Write it to the same with respect to the object dot write. Object dot write view. One second, I'll open the terminal. Okay, I'll open the terminal. See this file dot open followed by file operation, input file. Now I'll take some sample input file like a p1.c file. I'll take some read like file. This output will be acknowledgement. This acknowledgement I'll initialize as a file handler. Now I'll read the data. We don't know how many data is there. While loop, I'll read the data line by line. fh dot getters function. Then reading, do is optional here, and writing the data. So put test followed by line content and close it. See the output, the complete C program I'm reading line by line. This is optimistic style, but standard Ruby file handling is read function, read lines function. Right now, this size of data is a small size of data. We can do it read or read lines. Okay, if large volume data, then this is optimistic. So follow with this style. Okay, if even file size, if we create even large volume, this will not interrupt your performance. Even for other process also, it won't system, it won't become to be hanged. Okay, this is reading from file. Now tell me how to perform the copy style. I want to copy p1.c code to p2.c using file handling way. Can you tell me the logic how to write it? I want to read data from one file to script, from script to writing to another file. How to do it? So file handling category, reading data from one file to, yes, correct. We should could create two file object. One file for reading object, another file is called writing object. Okay. So reading object means we can take the same example. fh, I'm reading from file dot open followed by p1.c, and wh create new file. I'm writing new file. If file already existing will overwrite, so be aware. And w writing it's w, it's mandatory. Writing to this file. Okay, there are two objects I open. One object for reading, another object for writing. Reading from this file means we can follow the same this syntax. Writing to another file, we can follow the previous looping style. So how to use while followed by line content fh dot so this line is reading from file, not reading from keyboard, reading from file. In automation, it will come this type of category we will use more in real-time case. Automatically script will take source from one file and process it, writing data to another file. So there is no interaction between the keyboard and the monitor. So automation of task will read from one source from one source and create and writing to another one. So it will keep all the log will be the common file. There is no interaction as the end user. We can't view anything in the front end screen. So it will fh.getS means reading p1.c content, reading line by line. That's why we put looping. And I want writing to the file. What is the file? wh.write, wh.get put s. So extended to this. What is the content? The line is called the content. Then close the loop and close the handler. wh.fh.close is optional. Even if you're not closed, it won't throw error. But wh.close mandatory. Otherwise, the content it won't writing to file. Now compare this script here. p1 dot recently created file p2.c. ls minus t for Linux command. T stands for recently created time, which is file recently created. So p1.c, this is our source code, and p2.c, that through Ruby we created this file. Each line by line code will be duplicated, line by line code, line by line content. See this simple line of code. So before coming to the file handling, what is the prerequisite in the programming? Data structure knowledge, looping knowledge, block structure knowledge, block structure code. So what are the types of data we are handling in file handling, in Ruby file handling? String type of data, array type of data. So when we'll get array, whenever used object dot read lines, fh dot read lines will be array. So that array we can iterate in the for loop, we can fetch line by line. Okay, so fh dot read function and read lines functions are standard function. In real-time case, that file content size is, if it is huge file, large size, your primary size is less than that file size, so that will affect your performance of system performance, the whole system performance. So in that case, we can follow with the getTest standard function, object.getTest style, or we can connect with the looping style also. Block style also, iterating block by block style. Now understand the block usage, the purpose of block structure. So now this file operation, we can write separate function inside read function 1, f1 function to reading the data, f2 function writing the data. Like this, we can perform file operations. So function is basically, it's a separate code structure, code block style code. Now we'll show you one use case, that real-time scenario. This is simple task only. Are you able to understand this code? You please look at. Now we know file handling, we know data structure and functions. Okay. So based on this, one second, I will take some sample code. Uh, where it is, I'll check. Okay. File operations of this code. Can see the line. This is one of the property file in that system. Just a written 3 line of code. There is a person is a system engineer. What he used to do like this, there are some here written 3 hosts. There practically it will be some 50 host or 100 host or 1000 host. Host name, this is called alias name, colon, this is IP address. Like this, he will receive some different API. From this, he will writing some list of host details. What are the host is available? Okay, so host means this is alias name, host 3. So if you want to connect in the remote system through SSH or using ping, you can connect host 3. You can type host 3. You can connect to remote system, or else you can type your IP address 10.20.30.60. You can connect through IP address also, or else we can connect the complete alias name host3.example.com like this. So this is network part. Now say this line, that property is the file. The file will receive all the host details, all the host information details, this format. As a Ruby engineer, what you have to do is, you want to maintain, forget about the Ruby, first can see the system side. You can implement even Python also, this task. What his task is, you want to read the file, that property file. The person, you want to read the property file, and you have to split it into, you have to maintain that alias name and IP address. Later, the alias name will be the same, the IP address may change. Or in later, that new alias will get create, new IP address will come. See that operation, basic operation. The same alias will modify the IP address, or we can import new, will include, if whenever new IP is generated, automatically alias will generate and IP address will generate it. So this property file will keep on appending, it means keep on updating. Updating means IP address may update, or you can add new alias name and IP address name. So you should maintain through scripting way. You should list out what are the IPs available, or what are the aliases available, and you should map that alias name and IP address. Alias name and IP address. Understand the requirement. So you should maintain this everything on this way. Alias name and IP address should be in the proper way. So later, if you include a new alias name, you should maintain, you should get where this alias file is located, or what are the alias. New alias means it's a symbolic naming of IP, that is network part. If you include a new IP data, new IP, then automatically that script will get updated one. So how to write that logic wise? You should maintain through scripting. You'll keep all this alias name one column, all this IP address another column. We can implement a dictionary. That means hash structure. You can try with even Python also, it is possible. The structure code is like this. The entire code, that is file, the file is called property file. Through program we are reading the data. Inside we created one table, that is hash table. We'll keep all the alias name as a key, and IP address is called value. Recap that last class discussion. Then we can maintain everything inside this. This is process, that is Ruby. So we can maintain that alias name, all the details. If a new alias is updated in the file, automatically the script will get updated. If we're deleting or we are modifying anything as a user level, this file will keep on updating through set of API services. Whenever the end user or a network admin is changing the IP, it will get updated in the file. This person is maintaining everything in that hash structure. Then later, if you want to create new symbolic, a new another property file, or copy of new file, or backup of new file, we can write a data to file. We can write So dictionary directly we can't write. We should write separate key value. Then we can make it to write operation. Now you can see the program. This task I did here. This line is code. If understand this program, I written function also. Simple task. Understand what is line number 4 split operation. Single data to convert to multiple. Single data like example string host to 1 host to 1 colon 10.20.30.40. That is string type of data, string dot class. So using split function based on the colon separator, we can split it. Now see the structure. Class it says array. Array of zeroth index. What is that array of zeroth index? That is alias IP address. Its first index. So we can put multiple initialization also. Multiple initialization means we can put array. You can see the below one. We can put array of zeroth index or array of first index, like this we can do. So Ruby will support with multiple initialization. Multiple initialization means variable 1 comma variable 2 we can initialize left hand side right hand side same like this. V1 will be 10, V2 will be 20, like that. Or any variable like this, if it is there, you can put V1 comma V2 equal to A. So what is V1 value? Host name. V2 value? IP address. These are the basic assignment. Basic assignment of the last class we studied how to declare initialize it. So here this come to this point. This is property file. Property file always it will be combined with this combination. Yeah, host one is called alias name. So this one property file we are reading, we are getting the output. I'll tell you what is new here. I written with object oriented style. Okay, I will tell you what is new. So we studied all open function. Okay, so it's for timing just we can here replace this the object dot sorry file dot open. Okay, property file we'll get object. Then this all its object oriented style recreated a hash structure. So we discussed hash structure, how to create empty hash followed by this is empty hash structure. Dot new it's object oriented. Next topic. Okay, so written with empty hash. Then object dot read lines. Read lines output will be array. That array I connected with the looping. So from this loop I'll put splitted the data. I didn't use the block style, so I put directly with read lines. Splitted each line output will be array. From array I created multiple value. Then this line is called adding the data to the hash structure. This is the hash implementation, adding the data. So the hash is like our object in this example. Hash structure is created and I inserted that key and the value. What is key? The key is called alias name. What is value? Value is called our IP address. Once the hash structure is updated, I am passing this hash as an argument to the function. So function will receive the argument. It will print what is this host name and IP address. From list of all the keys, we'll get all the key and the value. Later, if we want to modify any IP, and we know hash structure is mutable, changeable, using key, we can modify the value. So finally, if I run this program, if I run the program here, it will print what are the key value format of that host name IP will get changed. If I updated some property file later, if I increase this property file information like host 4 and I'll put some host 5, like this if we keep on appending or keep on updating some different IP or a different port like a different value. Now if I run the program, it will be the hash structure will get updated. So no need to change anything inside the script. It is simple script. Simple script reading the data from file and to script, from script to display to monitor. Okay, if you want to write it to file, this line here you can use write operation. How to write? Create new file, wh whatever, wh dot write operation dot put as key and concatenate. We can put some assignment or colon whatever format you want to write it to file. Okay, you try that one. I will share you in the activity questions. You try this same property file. I'll put as input. You can take input and read. Here I'm displaying. You try with write operation. Create new property.txt file or config file. So like this, many use cases, this model like this file handling will be support for automation task, file operation based task. Understand the split we did discuss in the last class. Split is one of the string handling function. Based on the special character, we can split it. Yeah. Any questions? Okay. So based on the split, we can split multiple data. Then we can create structure. So before coming to this activity, recap dictionary. That means hash structure. The same task we can write it in Python also. The logics are similar. Only the syntax will come. The syntax will be different. Okay. So this all this core topic about in the programming procedure structure code. The next one we'll move to object oriented style. So quickly we'll show you what is object oriented, how to create this. And here one more topic, it's called a module. We'll finish it module, then we'll go to object. Module means it's not file. It's not a file, because other language module means it's a file. But here in Ruby, module is nothing but like a class. It's a code block. It's a code block structure, or we can say it's a template block or something, separate code block. It won't create any instance. So I'll say that what is module. How to create module? Module name. Module is a keyword followed by module name. Using this module, we can duplicate or we can overload some data member. And the practical usage of module purposes, there is a concept is called mixin in Ruby. There is a concept is called mixin. What is mixin? It's a multiple inheritance. So Ruby, we don't have multiple inheritance concept. Instead of this, we'll import multiple module into local class. So for this, we need module usage. Okay. So first we'll write it. What is module? Module name. This is a syntax. The same way you can write all the member. Okay. If you want to write any function and all, we should write module name followed by function name. Module name followed by function name. Then at the end, you can close the function and close the module. For example, function 1 I'll return function 1 I return put as function code block 1 and the end. The same function I duplicated, put as followed by 2, which is recently used, that will take. This is a basic. But I want to use F1 and I want to use another F1. I want to call both the block. It's a single code. So for this kind of overloading cases, we can use module. So module is a keyword followed by module name. Say for example, fax. Fax is a module name. Then module name dot fax dot followed by function name F1. F1. Parentheses are optional. You can write parentheses, without parentheses, fine. Put as followed by, so this is F1 block from fax module. Then I'll close it. Okay. Then I close the block itself. Now I return another function F1 followed by F1 block something. Just I'll put only this one. If I call F1, it will always invoke which is recently used and the outer call. How to call this fax module? Fax F1 block. We can write fax dot fax followed by scope resolution operator followed by function name. So the scope usage, the scope, wherever you can see the scope notation, we are accessing module data. Scope resolution operator to binding external namespace into local namespace. Okay, module data. So now see that call F1 also function and above F1 also function. There are F1, both are function, but this signature prefix is written with the module dot followed by, and the same, this is direct call. Now if written like this function we can invoke from class. I will tell you how to use class. So in Python we didn't use any this type of coding. Python there is no module like this type. Module means like existing loadable file in Python programming. But here module means it is a separate code block style. We can load this file into external code. We can load the file. We can load this file. Using that file, we can invoke this member. Okay, so module, it's nothing but like this. We can load the file. Then from the file, we can access all the data. We can access that data. So you can keep this point. Then I will go to class topic. Then I will tell you how to import this member into inside the class and what is the relation between class and the module, and why we are using module. Okay. So now we'll this main important topic in object oriented programming: class, object, method. These are the main pillars of OOPS concept. So already we crossed this all the topic, but we are not using the term class. We are not using the term is called object. We are using the term type and value and the function. The pronunciation and the terms are different, but behavior already we used class only. Already we used object. Already we used method. So Ruby, it's a pure object oriented programming part. Everything will be class object relationship. So whatever the type we studied, data type, it is called a class, and all the real entity is called object, and all the functions, it comes with the method term. Okay, so already we touched with all this point, but here we can create a user defined type. So integer, float, string, array, hash structure, these all free-defined type, free-defined class. I want to write my own user-defined data, user-defined class type. So how to create user-defined class type? What is the syntax or keyword? Class followed by class name. Class followed by class name. This is the syntax. So class name, starting character will be uppercase. Starting character will be uppercase character. Like module name and class name in Ruby starts with uppercase. That's why the term they call as a constant behavior, constant type. Okay. Then followed by here, inside you can write all your class member. At the end, we can close it. This is syntax. So recap from conditional, looping, file handling, everything end block, end with end end. Even module also end with one. Okay. So class is like a template structure code. From this, we can create multiple instance. From object instance, from instance, we can access this data. Say for example, class followed by box, it's a class name. I want to use class variable. So Ruby inside, if I use any prefix double underscore followed by where, this is called a class variable. Class variable. This variable lifetime and this variable accessibility only within the class section. This is not accessible in outside the class. Even box dot double and double at the rate where also we can't access. So this is class structure, class variable. Okay, so how to access this class member? We can write function. Function inside you can use something, for example, put as var value. How to dereference this? At the rate followed by var value. Okay, like this I close it. Function end. This is class end. So only this line is different. Rest of the definition already we discussed in the function topic. The same function call argument, everything you can place inside the class. So recap our analogy. In the day one, we discussed what is the analogy of class, blueprint, and building. Like this we discussed, right? So the blueprint is structure. It's called a class template. Class is a blueprint of the building. From the blueprint, this is attributes of the complete object. From the blueprint, we'll create an object. How to create an object? Every object oriented a different style. Here in Ruby object oriented, how to create an object from class using class name dot. There is a function is called new. This new is written address. The address is called real entity. This is a real building, a real object. Recap the analogy. What is class? It's a template. Class means it's a blueprint of a building. Blueprint of a building structure. The blueprint is a drawing sheet. That is not real building. So this class is this drawing sheet. From this, we constructed the real building. The real address is an object. Creating object means creating an address. And again, if we call the same method, say this different address, that means each buildings are different address location, and each buildings are unique address, its own behavior. All are comes from the same class. All the building constructed from the same blueprint structure. Okay, so blueprint itself, we can, it's a blueprint means it's a class structure. So how to create object? New, it's an inbuilt method. So box dot followed by new, and open and close, and return with some value. That is like, say for example, obj1. That obj1 dot f1, using object we can invoke our instance. So from outside we can't call this @var variable. So today we discussed two more special variable. One is dollar symbol, that we can place it more in the function inside. That variable we can access function inside and as well as outside. And this variable, it's a class variable, we can place class inside only. We won't write it in outside. That is meaningless. If write class inside, it's a blueprint of the template. We can access only class inside only. So how to access, how to call object, we can invoke this function that will become to be object based method. So object based one, so we can access within the class boundary. We can't access this variable in outside. So new is the standard. So in the previous example in F6 program, the previous program, opened like box dot followed like class name dot new, not this line. Okay, I will check this one. File operation, file dot new. File is a class, and we are creating one file name, file dot log, or reading the file name or creating the file name. Write operation. Compare with this line, file dot open followed by p1 dot log or p2 dot log. I'll put w. Both are right handling only. Here I used object oriented style. This is block oriented style. Block oriented means we can iterate through block, but here we can't use block. It's address based. We can create multiple instances from this. This all, it's a block procedure structure. We can iterate with the block do and the end. So at the end, object dot close, it's a mandatory, but here it is optional. It's automatically will get closed. Okay, like this for all the structure. Even that integer or a string, we can create empty string. This is same, we can write string like the string dot. String is a class name, and new is the constructor object, means object creation, and there is no data, it is empty. I'll put a string, it is like empty string. I'll tell you how to use constructor and all. So creating empty string, this is basic, this is fundamental procedure style. This is object oriented. So class name dot method new, it's written an object, Using object, you can invoke your class member. What is class member? @var is a class member. F1 is a class member. We can create F2. F2 is a member. Okay. Now tell me, recap the blueprint diagram that what I discussed in the day one. The same. Now tell me what will be the output of this structure. Followed by where f name. I'll put p1 dot log. Then function one inside. I'm calling function. It is called put as statement A followed by file name @f name. Okay, now I'll close the function. This is function is completed function. Then in the same class inside, I'm using another function f2. This function operation is @f name class blueprint. I'm updating where log some report dot log something, some different file. Windows, we can use Windows file path. Same. Now tell me, when I'm creating object dot new, okay. Now object dot, I didn't put command line. Object dot f1. What will be the output of this statement A? What will be the output of this statement? Then object dot f2 I'm calling. What will happen inside? I didn't use to print, but what will happen this step? Then when I call object dot f1 again, what will be the statement of this C statement? Now tell me, just tell me this. output. Recap our analogy. Class is blueprint. Whatever the member inside, it's a class member. So we can invoke through object way. Each object is called a unique real entity. It's the address of the data, address of your blueprint structure. Now apply all this analogy here. So what is the F2 function operation? F2 function operation. Tell me what will be the output. I'll repeat. The class is template structure. At the rate, it's a class variable. The lifetime of this variable we can access within the class section. So here the two operation we are doing this. One is operation display that class variable. After that we are modifying the class variable. So after that a class section is done. We are creating object through box.new. Like this is a standard way to create an object using object dot. I'm calling function one. Using object dot function one. Now what will happen inside when you say object dot a statement? What will happen? A output report dot a dot obj1, the first output a statement output. This call is put as message. It will come put as followed by function. Okay, here it is showing some syntax. Okay, I put a dot symbol here. It is for obj dot f1. One second, I'll modify the code. Box followed by at the rate. Actually, as per the code example, I'll finish it. I'll show you. As per the code example, when you say object dot f1, okay, just ignore that. For printing display purpose written. So object this f name output it will come. What is the f name? p1 dot log a statement output. And whenever I calling object dot f2, this will overwriting your class variable. I didn't use any object based value. Class variable I modified. So class variable modified means p1.log will change where report.log will come. After modified again I'm calling f1. Then this is will show you what are the current value. What is current value which is recently modified. Recently modified value. I'll repeat. Class followed by fs info. This is class name. At the rate fs type. Default type ext type of data. Function one. Function one. Inside I'm using this. Okay, I put print as function, put as followed by f1 block, and I print a message, put as followed by at the rate fs type. See the class difference end. Then function two, inside I put as message f2 block. That f2 block operation is again I'll put f2 block also I'll put at the rate fs type. So here understand class member can accessible. Here at the rate fs type I'll put some different file system xfs. After finished, I'll put the end statement. I'll create object from fsinfo dot new, then obj dot call f1 function. I'm calling f1. It will print what is this current value. Obj dot f2 I'm calling. After calling this, I'm calling f1 function. It will print xfs. It's not printing ext. See the line. Fs type is a template, that is our blueprint member. Blueprint, using blueprint, that is using class name, we can invoke and we can modify it. So what are the changes we are doing, that all will be correcting the blueprint sheet. This obj is a real building, real entity structure. Okay, so now this concept is the first function f1 display the current access. In f2 it is display along with the modification. It's doing at the rate followed by fs type equal to xfs. It's changing that class template. This line using class variable we can modify this. That what will happen, that will overwriting. It will overwriting existing class template. Now after modified, I'm calling F1. After modified one, which is recently changed, that value it will come. So earlier it was the same style, but I put a dot by mistake. That's why the syntax has happened. So the first output f1.log. After modified, again I'm calling f1 means report.log will come. F2 it's holding the refo. That when I call it will comes with a class template structure. The rate variable class variable when access the class section with the class section code. So using class name, we can modify it. Using class name, we can modify it. We can create all this possible only within the class section only. Within the class section. If anything, if you want to modify it in that object-based or object-based, object is a dynamic one. Dynamic structure. Object-based, that we can write a object-based style. But here, this is class concept. Class concept style. Okay, I will repeat that analogy if you're not clear this step. So Ruby programming class design structure, class is like this kind of template. From this single class, we can create multiple instance that is called entity object. Say example, this is one object. This address will be different. This is another object. This address will be different. And this is another object. This address will be different. Can you see this? Each circle is called real building. So internally, that is not visible in the programming way. Internally, this memory itself different memory. All are unique. This address will be different memory, and this object location different. That's why I mentioned that analogy. Each building locations are different address location. All the building designs are same template design, but address space is different. Address space is different. Each building is constructed the same template of design, but address are different address. So once object is created, that is building is constructed, inside this building, if you want to change something within the building inside, if you create some new entity or new attribute, something if you modify it, or even if you're changing the color, that will reflect only this building, not other building. That means not other object. That will not reflect even class also. So anything if you want to change in the class section, anything if you want to modify it, as per the building design, there are two template, two hall or two room, something. This is a design structure. So based on this design, the template, that objects or entities are created. Later, if you want to change it, say the term, if you want change in the blueprint, if you want change in the blueprint means this is @ symbol. Whatever the changes we are doing, here we are using @ followed by variable something. Okay, double @ it's a class variable. So we are correcting on the blueprint sheet. We are changing the blueprint. So all the entities are linked with this will get access. Will get access that one. The same changes if I'm doing inside this one, inside this building, not blueprint. Inside this, if I'm correcting means this is local to only this building will get changed, not other building. So this is object. This object will get modified, not other object. So important. It is important design structure in that. So class template, class is a template design. That's why the term they call blueprint of an entity. So these all the objects are constructed, created from this template designs. So this contains all the attributes of our entities. If you want to access that attribute, we can invoke through object, we can access it. If you want to initialize it, you can initialize. That initialization will be that individual address. It's local to that address. So that will not reflect, that will not that will not overwrite your class member, that will not overwrite other object. The design structure, your objects are different address view. So one object value, other object cannot access or modified. A design structure is all are in the different memory location. So how to access individual class variable, class structure style? You can say this line, the same fs info. So this is template. Fs info, it's a template, or we can say some server details, fs or not fs, some server info. Server info is a class name @ server name. This is default server. So I want to access different server. I'll call function. I'll receive an argument. That argument prefix, or first I will write it class name, then we'll connect with the object based. So you can put s followed by @ followed by s name, will get a default server. Now I'm modifying this server name @ s name. I'll put Linux. After modified, if I call with @ s name, it will not print default, it will print Linux. It will print Linux one. Again, if another function I'm trying here, it will print what is the current value, current class name. This will show you Linux. I'll modify it. See this using @ symbol. Using @ symbol means we are correcting on the blueprint. Windows will get update. Linux will overwrite. Again, I'm creating another function, the same repetition operation. If it will print Windows. Now I'll change it to another server. Like I'll put Sun OS. Now this will overwrite. So which is recently used, that will take. When you create object from server info dot new, it will create object. Now object dot f1 call, it will print what is current value. Object dot f2 call, now see this, it won't print default server. That is overwriting. So all this program, object dot f3, f4, everything, this all we are overwriting this class structure. Again, if you call f1, now see the difference. Again, you can call f1, which is recently used. It's not default server. So @ prefix @ followed by the name changes. This all will be changed on your. This will not change all your blueprint. Compare this paint diagram. Blueprint corrections. I want to modify it within that circle, within that building, not other building, not other class structure. So for this, there is a class variable, there is an instance variable. The same server info, we can take @ class name, or you can say server name, default server. This is a default server. Function followed by one @ symbol. That is, we can see this line @ prefix. Variable one, we received argument @ followed by local variable @ followed by a1. So that @ symbol is called instance variable. Single @. Instance means object based variable. That variable lifetime only within that object only. Put as, you can say this first line, that is first this line, double arrow mark @ server. This is class variable. Now put as followed by that single arrow mark single @ a1, object based variable style. So using object, we can modify any type of structure. Using obj.serverinfo, I'll get I'll deposit object dot f1. I'll put Linux. That Linux will initialize as this one, Linux object dot f1. See the line, object dot f1. I'll put initialization @ value to local variable. A1 is local instance based variable, instance one. So if you put instance based means, okay, one second, to write one more end. Actually, this end should come before. One second. This end is function end. Class end is missed it. Okay, I'll show you that activity. Now say this line. So when you say object.info means this Linux will goes to here and initialize to this object. So in the paint diagram, if I say object.name means it will update it only inside this object. That will not reflect with another object one. Okay, so class, just finally I'll write the class. It's a template structure. Class followed by class name, fs info. or file server info something at the rate followed by class variable. So class variable, if you say 100, and function 1 inside I received argument. That argument inside I'll put local variable. Okay, this is object based variable, obj1 variable. Then function 2, if I put inside obj, put as followed by at the rate obj1. I'll create obj1 from fsinfo obj1.f1. I'll write Linux means this call will goes to here. It will get initialized. This will not modify your at the rate variable. Like this, I'll create another object 2 from fsinfo and obj2.f1. I'll write Unix. This will object will follow obj2. Whenever obj1.f2, I'll get output Linux only. See that entity. obj2.f2, I'll get output only for Unix. Can you see the difference? This is template design. So this object is different object, and this object it is different object. This call object 1 dot call this view, object 2 dot call this difference. You can see the difference, the circle. So at the rate is an instance variable, double at the rate class variable. Double at the rate symbols are modified your class template itself. Single at the rate, it's based on your object. If you want to create new file server or new file system, create new object. You can initialize to F1. You can access in F2. So this at the rate is object based notation. This is a design structure of Ruby class object method style. Okay, so this is the Ruby design structure. Like this, there are topic. So here, based on this discussion, what are the real-time examples where we can implement Ruby structure? I will show you one sample Ruby web service program. Web service programs are client-server model, like CGI programming. What are the program we written simple hello world program? We can able to write it. We can able to display in the browser. So for this, we need a client-server model. Client-server model technique means one second. Can come to this. Client, it's a browser, will send request to web server. Web server will invoke your script. What is the script? The script is server script. So we can write the server script in different language, not only Ruby. We can write Perl, we can write Python, we can write Ruby, we can write C++, like this different language. So the script job is will invoke, the script is invoked by web server daemon, and the server daemon will execute the script and responds to browser. So for before going to CGI programming, we need some basic HTML knowledge, because client understanding format, everything will be HTML tag. Server understanding format, script understanding format, everything will be function and structure. So we should write everything like HTML response code. So first step before going to this program, we need to configure, we need to install and configure web server and configure web server. Then based on the configuration server path, we can place it in the server path, we can place all the Ruby file. Client path, we can place it all our HTML code. Then open your IP address, configured IP address, where on the address bar, then type, there is a symbolic path is called CGI bin. CGI, it's not real directory, it's a symbolic path. So if you want to configure web server under C drive, you can keep it your server script C drive, or F drive, or Linux machine, Linux path. See my system, the Linux I configured, not in Windows. So here, if you want to run this configuration, and see the screen. One second, it's not. Now you can type your IP address, or you can type your local host. So before that, you can open this terminal. You can see the server configuration path. Any web server, you can use Nginx web server, Apache web server, anything, we can write it. We can, once if the configuration is done, go to followed by Apache web server. sites available default. This is server path. Once if installed, you will get this path. This is part of administration. Okay, any server path means you can place it anywhere in the server path. My system user lib cj bin. This is symbolic path. Client path will be different path location. So once if you open IP address, once if you open the browser, type your configured IP, web server daemon is active. Okay, then go to this path location, user lib cj bin path. Under this user lib cj bin, user lib cj bin, can go to user. We can write it anywhere in your directory configuration. My system, I written this. See this line, see the file output. It is not single .pl file. It's not single .py file. There are many files. RBs or Ruby file, PLs or Python, PLs or Perl script file, PY Python file. So CGA is a concept, web service program. If you want to run any Ruby program in the browser, we can use Ruby program in the browser itself. So for this, we need to write a content type, MIME type. The text HTML is important. The line below, whatever you're writing, this all is called response code. We can write one line or you can write multiple line of code. See the response code. Open the codes, multi-line statement, how to write, we know. Open the statement, you can write all the HTML statement. If you run this program here, run the program, it will execute in the screen. The same code on the browser, if run, how to run configured IP CGI bin. CGI-bin followed by server dot followed by RP file. I didn't mention my file path. Recap the configuration directory, I written the configuration file. So my current load balance of my system load balance. If you want to monitor any system task, I no need to go to terminal to open the script to run. I can reload this page in the browser only. If you reload the page, I'll get my load balance update. If you refresh the page, press F5, it will update the load balance. So this output and all HTML format of output client view code. See the address bar? Like this for Windows and configured IP address. This is server side. How to interface with the client side. From client, if you want to connect it to this. Client means now we can go to HTML path. Where HTML file is located, under root, where browser. This file we can map from configuration file. I'll take one example. For example, there is our client.html. So you can see this code. This is client file. HTML file. HTML file how to open in the browser. HTML file on the IP address below. You can type client.html. That's all. This is not Ruby program. It's a user interface like HTML code. So if you can select some format, just what are the reason, this is inputted text. Then you can type your name and submit this query. Now see the line. Any form process data, either checkbox, text box, any radio button, form field, XYZ, anything. This all the request will convert it to Ruby. Recap that architecture flow. You can recap that architecture. Client will request to process, will send the data request to web server. Web server will invoke to server script. Server script will receive all the data will be hash format. So Ruby will receive this hash format structure. So this response will be, everything will be hash format. See that address bar. Like this, we can do many validation, input validations, user input validation, everything. So you can fill the form and we can enroll the form. For example, like many tasks, not only this, any credential activity. For example, client.html. Client.html code, it is not existed. Okay, I'll put some checkbox.html. So which subject you're selecting and submit, that output it says selected subject in the address bar. I didn't write much HTML response line. See that address bar. If you now look at your server side program, the previous program and this program or any code, for example, to log.html, if you write your name, something, and it will say login is success. So how this code, it will be how to respond, how to receive the request to process. How to receive the request process? You can see this line. If you take to log followed by this, every tag in the form action, there is a server path is there, rs4.rb. So it means whenever client submit this request, it automatically invoking this Ruby script file, rs4.rb file. How to receive? Remember, this is existing file, Ruby module. The Ruby inside there is an existing class. This all it's called a module. That is a loadable file. File inside there is a class return object. In object there is a function is called a param. Here that lower CJ is a user defined. So using this one single step, we can receive all the client request. In the what format? Dictionary format, hash format. The remaining will be hash flow. If username is, it is root user success or fail, like this. Like this for the previous one also, that R server information followed by server.rb file. Here all the request, here I put a multiple line. You can just ignore that line. You can see the below one. I'll put directly the dictionary of inside hash operation structure, list of all the keys. I'll get all the key value. So before going to CJ programming, we should know that hash structure and basic HTML. So Ruby will support with the server side program, like using this way. Here written simple client server model. Like this, many applications we can write. Even for example, this last one example, if we can create UI applications also, UI applications. For example, if write UI code.rb, we can create some UI widgets kind of framework. Widgets, this is from like normal. For example, there is Tkinter widgets toolkit. From this, we can create some framework. So what are the text you want to write it to the message? Like many widgets we can write. Widgets, for example, there are some framework widgets. This is framework widgets. If write this framework widgets here, it will create some multiple framework. There are many UI application here. We don't have time to demonstrate all to. So, but this all the backend code is our system code, backend code structure. Whenever this code structure, it's see this line. These all the existing class, and class create an object, and these are the parameter. What type of parameter? Blocks. See the line. Function along with the block is there. So backend there is a yield method in the function inside. So we can put all the parameter of widgets parameter. Then you can call it. You can run. So these are the predefined gems. If gem is not available, see the snapshot. This one. If gem is not available, we'll get error message. So how to install this gem? See my screen snapshot. It says whenever I imported this message, it's a error message. Then I return this line. See the last one. Gem space install the framework. Then you can able to, it will be showing the downloading. It will show you the one gem is installed. Like this for any UI application if you want to do, or any existing gems if you want to do, use gem command in the command line. After gems is installed, we can reuse the existing code. Okay, so this is programming session. Later you after complete this programming, you can go through the existing implementation modules like Rails framework, web service framework. There are many web application framework we can do, but due to time constraint to covering the syllabus, I can't demonstrate more UI. Okay, so we can create widgets. This all it's existing Ruby code, structure. So if any questions till discussion, please let me know. And also my all our examples videos, it's be available our portal. Okay, krosum, here you can check with the YouTube portal also, it will be available. krosum.com at the bottom. So and playlist, like for example Python playlist, YouTube followed by the, you can search with the krosum portal. There it will be available for our playlist videos, krosum.com or krosum labs. Okay, so Python playlist, Ruby playlist and all, you can watch it, and you will continue even for rest of the topic. What are the topic not covered, that will be available in the playlist. We'll upload it soon, and you can refer the activities also in the page. If you have any question, you can communicate training@krosum.com. This is the portal. and the same portal and the same contact, training@krosum.com. Okay, so Ruby, I hope you understand the programming topic. Later, you have to improve your after complete object-oriented programming knowledge. You have to improve your implementation section code, web services and other web services based framework concept, Rails framework. If you have any questions, please tell me. So we can, if you have any questions or doubts, even comparative with Ruby with other languages. No doubts.
If you have any queries, you can post your queries in the chat window, or you can turn on your mic and you can ask. We are
Yeah.
waiting here. Any queries?
Even if you have any query related to projects also, if you have any query, you can communicate.
So if you are not having any queries, can we end up the session? Yeah. Okay. So really a wonderful session, sir. We got the excellent opportunity to learn the Ruby programming from basic level to advanced level. It will be a good start for us also. Nowadays, Ruby is used in many applications, particularly nowadays it is in IoT applications. Ruby on Rails is very popular. A lot of opportunities are also there in industries for Ruby programming. The session is ending with a good takeaway. We thank everyone for the support you gave throughout the session. On behalf of SVC, I'm thanking you, sir. Also, you accepted our request to conduct it through online without any hesitation. We expect the same kind of programs in future too. This session will definitely be triggering us to do many wonders, and thank you, sir. A very special thank to Almighty and our HOD for all the way support and for the enthusiastic participation throughout the session, madam. Thank you, madam. The feedback link is available in the chat window. You can give your valuable feedback through this feedback form by copying it and pasting it in the browser. And today's session material will also be mailed to you. If anyone who have attended is not getting the feedback form, kindly mail us so that it will be very helpful for us to produce the certificates. We thank once again. If you have any queries, you can put your queries in the chat window. We are waiting here for the remaining half an hour. And thank you so much. You can give your feedbacks in the feedback form. Okay, thank you all. If there are no queries, we can wind up. Thank you all.
Okay, see you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir. It's a wonderful session, sir.
Thank you.
Anita ma'am, you can say something or some words to us. Gayatri ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, Raji, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am. You can say some words, ma'am.
I really thank for his wonderful sessions. He was very clear, calm. He presented very well, clear and a clear session for us. I hope all the participants will really learn a lot, even how to present also a programming language in this unseen class. I hope all the participants might have benefited out of these 2 day sessions. And I also request the participants to send us a feedback and even contact further to the speaker to enlighten their knowledge. Thank you all for the participants to join us, and we thank the management, HOD department to support us in this session. Thank you.
Yeah, Durga Devi ma'am. If you want to say something, you can say. Durga Devi Shekhar.
Even any participants can also share your views about this workshop by unmuting yourself
Yeah, please. Okay. The first year C-section students, your madam is waiting in the meeting hall for the OOPS class. You can leave and you can join your class. Yeah, Tukadini ma'am, please tell.
Thank you so much, wonderful section. And I have many and language was and it very easy.